Hey guys, my name is Scoby and welcome back to another video. In today's video we're going to be doing something a little bit different in a couple of different ways. I've started to do a yearly tradition over here in the channel where I want to talk about my goals for the upcoming year, how I compare to the goals I set for last year, and usually I do this in a talking head style video. However, at the moment I'm sadly tested positive for C19, and because of that I still look a little bit haggard and tired, so I'd rather just do this as an old school commentary, and instead of doing a COD commentary I decided to do a Halo commentary, so we're going to be going a bit old school with that, so hopefully you enjoy the on-screen footage of that as well. This is a little bit of competitive Halo Infinite, so hopefully you enjoy that, and let's jump right into the video. So the first thing I'm going to be talking about are some of my YouTube goals, what I set last year, how I compared, and what I'd like to do for this current year. So towards the end of last year I had just around 21,000 subscribers and a little over 11 million views on my channel. These were really great numbers and I was really proud to hit them. What I was hoping to achieve was to get around the 30,000 subscriber mark and get somewhere between 16 and 20 million views on the channel as a whole. Now in terms of subscribers I'm very close. At the moment I'm currently 29.6 thousand subscribers on the channel, so basically just at that 30,000 subscriber mark, so I'm pretty happy in that regard. We should probably hit it in the next couple of weeks here on the channel. And in terms of views we're just a little bit under it. What I wanted to hit was 16 to 20. What we actually hit was somewhere around 15.9, so we're just at the edge of it, so we're a little bit under the goal there, but overall close enough and I can't complain too much. My accuracy was pretty good on what I kind of estimated what would be possible, so I'm pretty happy overall on what we actually got there. Now coming into 2022, I find it a little bit tricky to estimate this, but I think in terms of subscribers, if we can end the year somewhere between 36 and 40,000, I'd be pretty happy. I think now as my channel has kind of matured, I'm not really going to be hitting any crazy viral video and I know how my channel works, so as long as we can keep this nice steady growth going, I should be pretty happy. In terms of views, I would definitely like to hit that 20 million view mark. I think as we go into this year, I think that 20 million view mark should be possible without too much issues. After that, the sky is the limit. Maybe something crazy happens, but I think if we hit that 20 million mark, I'll be pretty happy. So in terms of personal goals, I did set up a couple of different things. I'm actually going to be talking about a couple of things here first, one by one. I might separate them into different chapters below in the YouTube video as well to make it a bit easier, but I did have a couple of things set up. So in terms of personal things, a lot has changed for me this year and a lot is going to be changing for me next year. One of the big things that happened this year in the middle of the year was my son was born. So in July our little baby had joined us, and of course that threw a lot of spanners into the works and made things a lot more difficult to time manage, but of course in the best possible way. So one of the big things I want to be doing for next year is just learning to be more around and just being overall the best dad as possible. I feel like I've already learned a lot this year, but I feel like there's definitely still a lot of room for improvement. Of course, it's a juggling act, not only to just give all of your time and attention, but also to spend it with the family as a whole. So that's definitely something I want to bring into next year, and I feel like that's one of the biggest things for me. The next big thing that's going to be changing for next year as well is going to be the fact that we're buying a house. So hopefully sometime early next year, not clear exactly when we're going to be moving. We're going to be moving to our new house, and that's going to be a couple of weeks of madness of moving, packing, unpacking, and we're going to be doing some small renovations in the house with putting down some new floors and some wallpaper. So that's going to be a couple of weeks of hecticness. So that's going to be a lot of big changes as well. But of course that does mean we'll be having a brand new office, which I'm really happy to get into. So there'll be a lot of new things coming there and hopefully a lot of new content in the new house and a couple of new smartifying things we're going to be doing in the new house as well. So a lot of plans in that regard. So last year one of my biggest goals was getting my driver's license. At the time I just had my theory test done, which for someone at the age of 25, 26 is kind of embarrassing. You should definitely have your driver's license before that in my opinion, and thankfully this year I was able to do it. COVID did slow us down in a couple of ways in terms of actually booking tests and actually getting everything forward, but I am officially a driver now. I've driven on the road multiple times and I haven't hit anybody yet, so I'll take that as a win. So I'm pretty proud of myself in that regard. It took a long time to get here, but I'm really happy in where we've come. One of the next things I wanted to do a lot was to improve on my Dutch and learn and study more. Thankfully I have done this, not to the extent that I would have liked to. Again, this is partly due to COVID as some of my classes has been closed down. So I decided to take a small break from my Dutch class and I will continue hopefully sometime next year after we move. And then I'll be back in the full swing of that. But overall I still feel like my Dutch has improved and I feel like I've gotten a lot better and a lot more confident. So I'm definitely still happy in that regard. Again, alongside this, I'm also doing my Duolingo regularly. At the time of last year, I had around a 270-day streak on Duolingo, and today I'm very close to a 600 streak, so I've done it almost every day. And any other days I use my streak freezes, so I didn't lose my actual streak. But I'm doing it still somewhat religiously, so I'm really happy with that. And I'm still keeping that up, which I think is helping keeping my Dutch to a nice level, but also helping me learn some new vocab and just keep me up to date with everything, which again, I'm really happy to see. Another thing I wanted to take more in control of was my health and going back to the gym, but sadly again due to COVID the gyms were closed and my health didn't take a fully bad turn as I was still cycling to work and I was able to get back to the gym a little bit. However, it did get a lot more difficult again towards the end of the year once everything started to shut down again, and with my son being born it got a little bit more difficult to juggle all my time, so sadly I didn't get as much time in the gym and health and fitness as I wanted to, but I'm definitely planning to go into this more next year. My goal for next year is to lose somewhere between 15 and 20 kilograms again. I've put on a little bit this year sadly compared to last year. I'm still lower than my max weight, so I'm still happy in that regard, but I still have a lot of work to do coming into the next year, and I'm really planning to do some big things in regards to this. Once we move in the early of next year, this is going to be some big changes for me. Now there were also two other things I had written down here that I didn't fully follow through on, but I also did not follow through on, if that makes any sense. These two things were tasks and time tracking, and also reading. So in terms of tasks and time tracking, I did get better at managing my tasks. I now have a full dedicated Trello board to a lot of the things I want to do in the day-to-day, and anything I need to do in personal life or to do shared with my girlfriend, I typically write it down on a notebook and I'll go through it with her at the start of the day, and we'll kind of write that out and finish that up over the day. However, time tracking I feel like I don't do as much anymore. I do try to set more fixed days rather than fixed hours on when I can do things. This way everyone in the family is clear, especially with my son. I feel like time is a little bit more tricky and more sensitive to actually get fully set up. So if you can set days or chunks of days to be dedicated to certain things, that makes things a lot easier in my opinion. So it's kind of a yes and no in that regard. Now in terms of reading, I did plan to read more. I do have a couple books around the house and I did read a little bit, but for me I still look at it as a chore, which I think is the wrong way. I need to try take more leisure time in it and treat it almost like gaming where I make time for it, and that's something I would like to do next year. I'm not trying to do anything crazy, reading 10 books a month or whatever like that, but I would like to start reading at least one book every 2 to 3 months, maybe one book a quarter. If I could get that and start to slowly build up from there, and then slowly get one book to one every 2 months, I think that would be a good aiming point. So that's going to be my goal for next year, is to try finish and read one book at least every quarter. So that's hopefully what I'm going to be trying to do. But this one I'm going to take with a grain of salt. It's kind of one of my lower priority items. But I do feel like if I do start to do this in an early stage, it will have a nice benefit long term, especially in terms of career and in terms of learning and knowledge. Now I have also taken a couple more hobbies up during this year. One of the big things now is I'm much more into finance and investing. This is a new thing now that I've been reading up a lot on. I feel like I've learned a lot over the last year, and I do plan to read a lot more over the next few years as well. I'm not going to be talking about this too much as I don't really feel like my channel is the best place to be discussing finance necessarily. This might change in the future as I'm more and more tempted to create a full dedicated finance channel, but again we will see how that goes. Timing is already very tricky for me, so I'm not going to be taking on too much more at the moment. But overall I feel like I did a decent job considering the year that we had and everything that's happened and changed in my life, which has been a lot this year. I do want to do more next year, and I think I can still do a lot here in this regard. I have a full list of things that I'm still trying to take a look at as the year goes on, but of course with the move and with the child it makes things a lot more difficult, but I'm still going to be aiming high. I'd rather aim high and hit a target a little bit lower than aiming low and hitting a target even lower. I feel like it's always good to aim a little bit high and underachieve than aim for normal and underachieve from the normal point. It works out a little bit better, at least that's how my mind works in that regard. Again, I want to give a huge shout out to everyone who's been supporting me over the last year. Anyone that's gotten to this point in the video, please leave a comment down below with the hashtag ScobyGoals2022 and also leave your Twitter handle. I'll try to reach out to a few people to give out some prizes for anyone that stayed here this long. Again, thank you so much for supporting the channel. I also want to take this moment to give a huge shout out to the channel members, Sean Daly, Joshua Davis and Devontae Hunt. Thank you guys so much for supporting the channel, I really appreciate it. If you'd like to have your name shout out in future videos or some other perks, be sure to click the join button on any video on the channel, it would really help me out. Anyway guys, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to drop a like. Subscribe if you're new, check out the other videos on the channel. If you want to support me, be sure to drop a super thanks in this video, I'd really appreciate it. Anyway guys, thank you so much for watching. Until next time, as always, keep it saucy. Peace.